Down through the centuries, Mary, the Mother of God, has always been looked at as some kind of model, a sort of emblem of discipleship, what it looks like to receive and enter into the purposes of God. We read in the book of Luke, chapter 1, that the angel Gabriel comes to her and announces this stunning, ridiculous news to her, that somehow the power of the Most High would come upon her, God would overshadow her, and she, a virgin, would somehow miraculously conceive and give birth to this child, the scripture says, would reign over David's throne forever and ever, that his kingdom would have no end. And Mary makes the incredibly memorable declaration in response to this outrageous news. She says, "I am the Lord's servant. May it be done to me according to your word." It seems to me that when God comes near, what's demanded of us is our yes. Years ago, my wife Mandy and I, we were college students at this little town in the Midwest, and we lived off campus. So we had this beautiful apartment situation. Below us was a demo apartment, nobody lived there. On one side of us, we had our best friends. On the other side of us, there was this quiet married couple. It was like this ideal situation. And one day we look out the front window and we see a moving truck there. They're taking out all of the furniture from the demo apartment and loading some new furniture in. And before too long, we discovered that this elderly lady had moved in underneath us, which we were fine with. Within a couple days, however, all of a sudden we start noticing that this old lady has this habit that's like a deeply offensive habit to us. She's a smoker. And not that we have a problem with smoking, but it doesn't smell great to us, and it's wafting up into our apartment. And pretty soon we started noticing that it would waft up into our apartment at strange hours of the day, 2, 3 in the morning. All of a sudden our apartment would be filled with this huge cloud of smoke, and it just drove us crazy. Like, God, how could you let our beautiful, idyllic situation be interrupted so cruelly by this lady? And so one day we're sitting on the couch, this is in the morning before we go off to school and work, and we're doing a little devotional together, and we come across this little verse in the book of Proverbs, where the writer of Proverbs says that he who despises his neighbor sins, but blessed is he who's kind to the needy. And instantly we just felt convicted, knew that God was calling us to do something for this lady. And so we baked her some cookies and threw them on a plate and wrapped it up and went downstairs and knocked on her door and said, "Hey, Linda, we're your neighbors from upstairs, and we just wanted to give these to you to welcome you to the apartment." And as we started talking with her, what we realized was that she had once been the wife of this wealthy, wealthy man who, after he had died, she lost the estate. And here she is in this situation where her life is in shambles. She's gone from this huge mansion into this little apartment, and now, out of her grief, she's smoking in the middle of the night just to keep herself some form of comfort. And we knew in that somehow what God was calling us to do was to open up our hearts to this woman in a new way. God somehow had showed up for us in the person of this woman who moved in below us. The question I think that the gospel constantly confronts us with is, what does it look like for us to give our yes to the moment that we're in with God? For some of you, it might be some dream that you've never followed through on. For some of you, it might be some relationship that has a loose end. For others of you, it's some thing that you know that you need to do as an act of obedience to God. What's that thing? And what does it look like for you to say with Mary, "I am the Lord's servant. God, I'm at your disposal. May it be done to me according to your will," that you'd enter with your yes into the will of God.